What's going on, Whisper Nation? You are joining us for the live News and Nuggets episode where we're going to be covering the last 48 hours or so of news from around the NFL, as well as giving our reactions to last night's Thursday night football game between the Washington football team and the New York football Giants. Let's get this thing going. Let's go.
Right here.
And of course, joined as always by Johnny Game Time Hicks. You can catch him on Twitter at Johnny_Game Time. Johnny, how are you doing? It's Friday. Thursday was yesterday. Weekend's coming up. I'll tell you my secret after this.
Yeah. I don't know if is there a real secret on that? Maybe.
There is. So what I do
right
if
here,
I'm pointing at you,
I'm
pointing at you, Johnny, I see Johnny's closest to the cat tower. And I know the cat tower is right there. So I then point to you that way.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
So you make markers within the environment. That's good.
Yeah, because it's opposites. Exactly.
Yeah, it is opposites.
Yeah. So I do the same thing for you, Travis. How you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. Just ready to rock and roll. A lot. Yeah. Got me? No. Okay.
Yeah. No. What's up?
Couple of audio pieces coming in here, and so are you, Whisper Nation, and it is great to have all y'all joining us, jumping in. Mr. Miyagi, yo, Cat's Pajamas, love to see y'all here. This is why we do what we do, and if you're joining us for the first time, drop us a line in the comments. Say hello. We'd like to get to know you and just say what's up. We're going to be going over all the news and nuggets. I know we're going to get a lot of questions coming in about your lineups, about trade offers, things of that nature. We love to answer those. We're going to be saving the majority of those questions until the end of the program. So stick with us where we'll be sure to get those ones addressed. But still drop in the chats. Let us know. We'll flash your comments up on screen. Would love to have you be a part of the program with us. But with that, I wanted to ask you guys, Thursday night football was yesterday, and it's always a conversation in our League of Record chat. Are you going with the Thursday thirst? Are you getting a guy that is maybe a questionable start and you put him in your lineup anyway just because you got to have a taste? Or do you not like it? You'd rather say, no, I want to have a more condensed lineup on Sunday, or you like to delay it as much as possible to the night games and on Monday, both for your preference and your opponent's preference. I'll go with Johnny first. Do you have a preference for Thursday night games in your fantasy roster?
I don't. I generally look at matchups. If it's a good matchup, then I'm going to play them. If it's a bad one, I'm not. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to do anything crazy. Sometimes the thirst is real. Definitely, you got to battle it. But perfect example, last night, could have gotten the thirst. The matchup looked bad for Danny Dimes. We do have him in our listener league, and we decided to bench him. Not a good matchup. Didn't want that thirst. And, Danny Dimes went off, and that is what it is. But you got to go with your gut. You got to go with what the analytics show, and it wasn't a good play. And so I stick by it. I'm fine with it. But, yeah, sometimes it burns you. Sometimes getting that thirst and not satisfying the thirst does burn you. But more oftentimes than not, what we've learned with these Thursday night games is that usually you end up coming out more thirsty than satisfied. And this year it's been starting off the other way, though. It's been interesting this year.
It has been. So I agree. Always stick with your analysis. Don't lean on your emotional appeal, despite us playing this very, very emotional game. But Travis, same kind of question to you. But what if it's kind of on the 50-50 line between a starting position? Are you going with that Thursday, or are you steering away and rather not have anybody in your lineup on that early game?
I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask this because I get really desperate on Thursdays. And Johnny, he talked about it with the listener league. I really want to start guys on Thursdays. But I think I wanted to flip the script a little bit here because I don't really care so much about Thursday. Yeah, it sucks. There's a couple days in between Sunday. The real agonizing part is when you have to wait till Monday and you have players or your opponent has players on Monday and you're just waiting to see if you lose or win. That I cannot stand.
Really? That's my favorite.
That's my favorite. I would rather backload it. I would rather backload it than front load it.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I don't want to wait. I guess the hope gets stretched out too, but for me, it's just agonizing. Just kill me or be done with me already.
I find moments of peace when it's drawn out. And so my answer on Thursdays is whatever it is, if I'm playing or I'm not playing and just my opponent is, I'd rather not have anybody going against each other. I just like to be able to enjoy it. That's it. Just one side, mine or his. Mr. Miyagi saying, I've learned my lesson that you never win on Thursday, and you usually get handed a cup of salt water if you reach to start, guys, just to watch on that Thursday. Yeah, right. Salt water ain't tasting that good. And I do believe in the Thursday curse. I have been inexplicably hit with so many crazy outcomes where my guys on Thursday go off, 29 points from Todd Gurley a few years back on Thursday, and I put up 65 points on the week total. So it's like, I believe in the Thursday curse. It's just happened too many times. But let's talk about that Thursday game. We're having good Thursday night football, boys, to get this started. Bucks and the Cowboys last week in a great game, and this week the Washington football team and the New York football Giants, great team. Let's start with the New York football Giants, Johnny, and Saquon Barkley, who you've talked a lot about. You're not really that high on him. Came out, he had that 40-yard plus run. It got pulled back. He showed some hesitation, but he also was involved 80+%, 84% of the snaps versus in the 40s week 1. So how are you feeling about Saquon? What do you think looking at last night? What are you thinking moving forward, Johnny?
I mean, I definitely have my concerns over Saquon Barkley. I mean, we knew he was going to start off slow, of course, like that was going to be the case. He was going to be eased into this offense because of the injury and what he was coming out. The thing I want to know, and I took a picture and I sent it to you guys prior to the game, and I thought it was really interesting because you could tell the major difference in Saquon's legs, and like one obviously still a massive tree trunk, the other one the size of a normal running back's leg on the other side. And so it was like really surprising to me because you could really see kind of how much that was like the first sense in my own eyes that I could actually visualize and see, all right, this is where he looks to be in rehab and getting that leg back to full strength. I am concerned that they continue to do this, long into the season. And by that time, it could be too late for people who drafted him so high because, like we said, you're not going to sit Saquon Barkley. If he's considered, he's going to go or he's going to play, it's really hard to sit him, even in a difficult matchup. We knew, the big play was exactly what we talked about, was that he could pop that off. That's the type of runner he is. But what's different is, if he's healthy, I don't think there's a doubt on this panel here that he doesn't score that touchdown last night after he scurries. If he's fully healthy, I don't think they catch him. I mean, Chase Young, that DN, was keeping up with him. And so again, for me, there is some caution, there is some concern. Hopefully you were able to, maneuver your draft and get them in a good enough spot to where it's not going to super affect you. You can kind of go along with this game plan. But yeah, there's some concerns for me moving forward with Saquon.
I feel you on that run, man. I was watching him and it felt like a dream where you think it's real and you're like, oh my God, he looks so good. But wait, he's not breaking free. And then it's a penalty on top of it and it's turning more into a nightmare. We'll see how that one progresses. Travie, I wanted to bring it over to you to talk about the New York Giants wide receivers, though. You have talked a lot about Sterling Shepard. You got me tuned on to him, and I picked him up in our league of record for 6 WOB. Thank you. Liking that one. How are you stacking up what we saw from Sterling Shepard last night? 9 for 10 on his targets, 94 yards, as well as Kenny Golladay, who we do see as the alpha, maybe still getting a little accustomed to this offense and his role and his physicals. He caught 3 of 8 targets for 38 yards. How are you looking at these two? We'll throw in Darius Slayton in the mix there too, who had that drop easy touchdown.
Yeah, until we can see more out of Daniel Jones to be more accurate, I'm a little bit concerned with Kenny G. The chemistry they're going to have to get to this year is a little bit frightening because, he's going to have to be more accurate to get to his deep threat. Sterling Shepard's a guy he has chemistry with already, a guy who's a perennially underrated wide receiver. Matt Harmon's reception perception has him highly ranked every year. It's just been health issues that have kept Sterling Shepard off the field and kept him out of fantasy lineups. So for me, I love what Shepard's done, leading this team in targets. Wouldn't be surprised if he led the team in catches this year. It's already looking that way. And then Kenny G, I think, comes on later. And we've been kind of saying like practice some patience, with Kenny G. And I think that continues to be the case. You like the 8 targets though in this game, the would-be touchdown without that pass interference. Those are some good warning signs in a tough matchup.
Yeah, and you mentioned Daniel Jones is going to need to be more accurate. Johnny, how are you feeling about Daniel Jones? I know that you had mentioned you benched him in the Listener League. He had 22 of 32 passes, completed 22 of 32 passes, 249 yards, a touchdown, and more impressively, the 9 carries for 94 65 yards and a touchdown. And this isn't really a flash in the pan. We've seen Daniel Jones do this before. We saw him do it today. Are you moving the arrow up on Daniel Jones after Thursday night? You keeping it where it's at? You bumping it down?
Continuing to monitor this, I do think that he showed a lot last night. Many people are saying, should they move on for Danny Dimes? Is he a quarterback that you can win with? And to me, it's interesting because you see two types of Danny Dimes. When you script out for him, you saw in that opening drive, he looked great. He looked fantastic. Probably one of the best drives he's had against a good defense. But then you saw after they get away from those, first set of plays where it's all scripted out and it's all of a sudden now play calling, you gotta know, where you're going with the ball, what your checkdowns are and things like that. You saw him start to struggle, go into half, comes back out, right? Because they can have a little bit of time, resurface that game plan, scheme up a couple more plays, look pretty solid, and then, started to fall apart again there at the end of the game. So for Danny Dimes, it's going to be about continuing to learn this offense, continuing to evolve. Also, they need to get a little bit more up to date with their play calling because they're not doing any pre-motion calls at all to help Danny Dimes.
Johnny, they have Jason Garrett.
I know,
they're
which
not
is
gonna,
a problem.
They're gonna have to fire him if they want that. Yeah.
Well, or go to him and say, hey, we're gonna let you go unless you start implementing a little bit more of this play. Moving these pieces around before the line, because why it's so important for Daniel Jones is because it gives him a lot of snap information. Are they in zone? Are they in man? Then they could start looking. He knows kind of based off of that where he can go with the ball. And when you're not doing that, you're automatically setting yourself up for failure because you're having to wait until this ball is snapped to see what coverage they're in instead of knowing that pre-snap. So we'll see if that continues or like Travis said, Jason Garrett is the OC and he's set in his ways like an old coach, but we'll see if the coaching staff can loop them in and say, hey, let's update that book that you used 10 years ago and let's get a little play action in here.
Coach is calling Garrett out or not. Johnny Hicks has you on notice, Jason Garrett. You better wise up on this one. I want to give a quick shout out to some of the Whisper Nation members here who we have jumping in. Before we jump over to the Washington football team, Slim Reaper joining the show. Whisper Nation strong. What's good, my man? Great to see you here. We've got Jersey J saying Jones was immortal last night.
He really was. It was his best game of his NFL career. Best game of his NFL career.
He was kind of giving me faster Josh Allen vibes in some ways. I was like, look at him go. Look at him go.
Well, but he historically had owned the Washington football team prior to this game. Like he was undefeated against them until this game, which was a wild stat. Like
against them.
Yeah, he does tend to go off against them. So something interesting to monitor there before we start crowning Daniel Jones as this streamable option going forward.
Yeah. But he's terrible on primetime games. So never start him. He's never won a primetime game.
Unless they're against the Washington football team.
Yeah, then something had to
happen. Whisper Nation, if you're dropping your questions, we see them. We're here. We want to just make sure we can get through the news and notes from the last couple of days. We will be answering all of your questions at the end of the program, so sit tight with us here. And if you're new to the show, say hi. We'd like to say what's up. We'd love to meet new folks and talk about fantasy football, the thing we all love the most. So jumping now over to the Washington football team, going with Johnny's boy, Marquis Brown, who played 89% of Washington's offensive snaps last night and had the second most amount of pass routes run on the team. I saw Heineke go to him a couple of times too in the end zone on some risky throws. Looks like he has some faith in him. Do you have faith in him, Johnny?
Not to put him in my starting lineup right now. I do think he is a guy that you should definitely watch out for because in college he was super electric and he has the talent and he's the perfect, and I've been saying this all summer, he's the perfect complement to TJ McLaurin. On the other side, you saw TJ McLaurin just have an absolute game. Didn't matter who was on him, what was happening. The dude was just prolific. And so for me, I do think Daimi is an interesting guy to continue to watch, but again, not the most explosive offense. So it's probably going to be a little bit before Daimi is going to be considered like, hey, let's talk about it. Maybe they get a better, more consistent quarterback in, and then we can have a more serious discussion about him. But he is a very interesting prospect to me.
Johnny, I was just wondering if you had some inside information on Terry's middle name. You're calling him TJ McLaurin. Like, is it James or Johnny?
Did I say TJ McLaurin?
Yeah, a couple times. I was like, I looked him up real
confidence.
quick. I just looked him up real quick to see if his middle name was like something or if that was the new nickname for him. He's had like a million nicknames, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Scary Terry Johnson McLaurin.
I want to look at
F1.
what is his middle
Yeah.
name.
It
We'll
didn't
have to
show
find
up on
out.
Wikipedia, so I'm not sure. Well,
I
to
thought it
be
was in your
continued.
nightmares.
Yeah, man.
That's not his middle name? No? Okay, well,
In the
moving
Giants'
on.
nightmare.
Let's go ahead and actually stick with the man of the hour, Terry in your nightmares, McLaurin, who had 14 targets thrown his way, caught 11 of them for 107 yards and a touchdown week 2. Travis, did Terry McLaurin show us what people thought he was going to be about? How was your take from Terry McLaurin's performance last night?
It's so funny. As an industry, we got really conservative about McLaurin coming into this game. We said, well, we have to downgrade him. Logically, we have to downgrade him because Heineke's in the lineup. But then he just showed us, like he's shown us all the time, that he can be QB proof. He continued to dominate the target share, continued to make big plays, was targeted in the red zone, everything you need to see out of your alpha wide receiver. He's a set and forget right now as a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside each and every week. So, yeah, I mean, I saw exactly what I needed to see in this offense. And we got to start giving some credit to Tyler Heineke. Looks like a real guy that could work this offense. And, Fitzpatrick, we maybe could have got us to a level of balling, like slinging it that we never will see with Taylor. But I think that there is something here to say that we might have a more efficient offense with Taylor. Could be. I'm still holding out hope for that.
Yeah, there was a lot of industry folks who were just putting Heineke down. We got a lot of question marks about it in the DMs, Travis. My stance on it, if you'd listened to the Monday show talking about it, was we saw no targets thrown Terry's way with Fitzpatrick in the lineup and 4 targets for 64 yards gone to McLaurin after Heineke entered the lineup. And Heineke, I understand people were saying wanting to start the New York Giants defense because of Heineke's perceived lack of experience. But people don't realize he's been in the league for, 5 years or so. He's 28 years old. The whole team has confidence in him. He doesn't seem like your traditional just fill-in kind of guy whose name we don't know yet how to pronounce. It is Heineke. Everybody is saying it wrong. But moving forward, the team knows who he is. We all know who he is now. Tyler Heineke, 34 of 46 passes, 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. But more importantly, with the stats was how they won the game, how he responded to that interception, that game-winning drive. That's not easy to do. That corner touchdown pass to Peoples-Jones, my goodness, it looked really, really nice. Any streamable appeal?
Ricky Seals-Jones.
Ricky Seals-Jones, different hyphen,
Yeah.
excuse me. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Any streamable appeal for Heineke?
No.
I need to see more.
Leagues.
I need to see more first. Yeah.
He doesn't
It's
get
just
to play.
good. It's just good for the offense. It's good for the other players on Washington that we can get him efficient out there.
Fair enough. And other Washington players, Antonio Gibson was the highest drafted Washington football team player in your draft, most likely 13 rush attempts, 69 yards, added more air yards or yards through the air for a total of 93 yesterday. Antonio Gibson looked pretty good, but we have to mention J.D. McKissic came in and took a lot of work when the game flow worked in his favor in the 2-minute drill when they were playing from behind. McKissic was the one who pulled in that touchdown. He had 5 of 6 targets for 83 yards, just 4 attempts for 10 yards on the ground. But I kind of wanted to get your take, Johnny, here on Antonio Gibson, who I thought looked really good, got a lot of opportunity. But then when the game flow shifted, McKissic, that familiar role, came back in. How are you stacking these two up right now?
I do want to say what is super interesting is that the over-under in Vegas before this game for Antonio Gibson's total yardage was 93. How wild, it was insane. Same with the rushing yards for Saquon, 39.5. And Saquon ended up with 40. How, it's insane how right, they're just on the money. As far as Gibson goes, I do want to bring this up. I do want to have a quick little discussion on it. Coming into the season, we thought that, hey, all the hype was, hey, CMC comp. Everyone's saying Gibson's got this full, plethora of talent to be the next CMC 2.0 kind of thing. And through 2 weeks, we have not seen that at all. They continue to not get him super involved in the passing game. Of course, you have the backup quarterback coming in now. What are your guys' level of concern with Gibson? Are you going out to try to acquire him? Because it just seems like McKissic is not going away. Had a really good game. Of course, part of it is game script because his major plays came at the end of the game or at the end of halves when they were in this quick 2-minute drill, quick 2-minute offense. And that was where he did most of his damage for JD McKissic. So I do believe that there are better days ahead for Gibson, depending on game script and things like that. But with Heineke as the quarterback, are they going to be in enough positive game script games this year in order to really open up that ceiling for Gibson this year?
I'll be interested to kind of watch the tape on this again. I didn't get a chance to rewatch this game, but what I did notice on PFF is that through 2 games, Antonio Gibson's pass blocking grade is 16 in the deep red. Not good right now. So I'm wondering if he's getting pulled off the field right now because of pass blocking issues. I'll need to go look at the tape. And it's not like JD McKissic is that much better. He's at 56 in pass blocking grade per PFF, but it's still better. It's the better back right now in their lineup. So maybe they're pulling Gibson off the field right now for that reason. I don't know. I don't want to go too much of a panic mode here, because what we did see in week 1 was that they actually scripted out screen passes for Gibson, which is what we need to see more of. If they do 2 to 3 screens a game, it's not going to matter what McKissic does, because we're going to get him out in space. We're going to get enough work. And McKissic can eat into some third down work, but I think Gibson's volume should be okay. He just needs to maybe get better at pass blocking a little bit here.
Yeah, Johnny, I'm not as concerned, and I did take Antonio Gibson in the 2nd round, so there might be a little bit of bias that comes in, but I'm also just watching the matchups really closely, and I'm stoked to see that through 2 games, JD McKissic has received 7 targets. Through 2 games, Antonio Gibson has received 7 targets. JD McKissic has a total of 5 rush attempts. Antonio Gibson has a total of 33 rush attempts. So they're equal when it comes to the passing work. Antonio is dominating the run work, but McKissic is dominating that game flow role. That's what I saw last night. If they're down, 2-minute drills, things of that nature, McKissic is their dude. I don't even know if he's better than it. It's just like, this is your role, man. Go and do it. And until you mess it up, it's yours. And Gibson did fumble in week 1. So if I was coaching, I would give McKissic a little bit more work and see what he's about, see if he's hungry for it. But no, I'm not concerned. Gibson is more involved in the pass game now than he was last season. McKissic has his role, but I think moving forward, it's going to be what we expect. And Gibson's a really good runner. So we'll just see how that shakes up. McKissic's not bad though, too. Keep an eye on it. All right, moving now into the rest of the news and nuggets here from around the league. Johnny, Marquis Brown he looked pretty good last week, but he was sidelined for Thursday's practice. Wednesday could have been explained as a maintenance day on a short week, but now we're kind of entering the concern zone. How are you feeling right now about Marquis Brown? And Whisper Nation, I want to say, as Mr. Miyagi jumps in and says, breaking news. We are going to get some breaking news, because news is coming out as we record this. And this is the news. Josh Jacobs is ruled out.
Guy on the thumbnail. We had a sneaky suspicion this was going to happen. We'll talk about it here in a sec.
So we'll talk about that one here in a sec, but just getting to this topic here. Love the breaking news coming in, Whisper Nation. Thanks for throwing those our way. Keep them coming. But Johnny, here to the Marquis Brown and the concern level you have with this ankle issue.
I continue to monitor this. Again, we talked about this on our breakdown show that Marquis Brown actually, dating back to last year, is on quite the roll right now and seems to really have a rapport with Lamar Jackson. Lamar surprisingly can find him. He knows they have a connection that used to belong between him and Mark Andrews, but it seemed like that has now shifted to Marquis Brown. I really don't know if Lamar can sustain more than one fantasy option throughout an entire season. He's just never shown that to us. So for now, it does seem to be Marquis Brown. He would be the guy that I would play for Baltimore, especially in this matchup. Secondary for Las Vegas is not great. I know it looks like it in most matchup in your apps, but that was because last week Lamar didn't throw to anybody on for the Raiders, and so that was part of the struggle there. But I would go with Marquis, bearing any setback over the next 2 days.
Speaking of the Baltimore weapons, Travis. Devontae Freeman was promoted from the practice squad. He is now running back number 9 on the active roster. How are you feeling about what is being described by offensive coordinator Greg Roman as a backfield that will continue to rotate guys in and out? How do you feel about this backfield? Are you starting any of the guys this week? What do you think moving forward?
I'm frustrated if I'm a Tyson Williams roster or GM that has him on my lineup. I'm definitely frustrated, but I think we talked about this on the matchup podcast. I think this is a situation where Tyson Williams still has the best shot to be the J.K. Dobbins role, and they'll probably rotate some of these veterans in as the Gus Edwards role. So, yeah, you're going to have touchdown upside in whoever the old man is that's going to be doing the touchdown scoring, which was Latavius Murray on Monday night. But I think there's some real upside if there's these injuries happening, so maybe they can actually train Lamar to pass to his backs here. Tyson caught 2 targets in the Monday game. You'd like to see him get going. He's definitely more electric. You might have to flex him right now based on you picking him up if you went 0 RB, something like that. But I'm fine with rolling him out at least one more week in that flex, that running back 3 range, but unless we see something disastrous to his usage this week. I mean, that's how you attack Kansas City, right, is on the ground. So,
yeah. Sticking with the ground, over in Buffalo, Johnny, Bills head coach Sean McDermott said running back Zach Moss was inactive in week 1 due to health concerns, but that Moss has looked good in practice this week. We expect to see him out there. Are you putting him in your lineup?
No. This both, and Singletary, I think, take a step back as well. And you're not looking to start either one of these guys.
No, you're not. What about Gabriel Davis, who is dealing with an ankle injury? He's questionable for week 2. I know he's kind of an up-and-comer for us. Any interest in Gabe Davis, Travis?
No, I mean, I'll monitor usage right now because this passing attack, I mean, the Buffalo Bills do not want to run the ball. They've made that very apparent. They're going to throw the ball. So I'll monitor Gabe Davis, but right now there's too many other mouths in the Gabe Davis role. You've got Sanders and Cole Beasley eating up targets. So until one of those solidifies as the man, I'm just keeping an eye on Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Referencing right back to our previous subject, ML says Ravens coaching staff doesn't trust Tyson with pass protection. They don't want to risk losing Lamar for the year because of a missed blitz pickup. Yeah, that is going to be a costly.
And that's what happened last time on Monday. He missed a blitz pickup. Lamar got blown up, and they pulled him.
And they pulled him. Moving over, Johnny, to your Chicago Bears. We're going to call them your Chicago Bears right now. Marquis Goodwin. He's listed as questionable for week 2. He's inexplicably led the Bears in receiving yards against the Rams last week, so his absence could further lower the impact for the Andy Dalton passing attack coming. If Godwin misses time, it would likely mean additional snaps for Damian Byrd and perhaps an additional target or 2 for Darnell Mooney. Even if that Godwin goes, he'll likely be off the fantasy radar, but does this make any other impacts for any of the other Chicago Bears players you're actually going to be starting? Allen Robinson, David Montgomery, Andy Dalton?
Yeah, a slight uptick for those two, Mooney, and I do think Mooney has an opportunity this week to kind of go off. I would, and same with Robinson. Robinson has still, to me, a top 12 upside despite last week, and don't sleep on Damiere Byrd is what I'll say. Like, I'm not saying I'm not sitting here saying he's the best wide receiver ever. Or go pick him up. Not saying that, but I have watched him. He used to play for the Cardinals, and he was becoming a very sure-handed thing for Kyler because we were very skimpy on wide receivers at the time. And Kyler and him had a connection. Then he goes to New England and actually had probably one of the better connections with Cam Newton earlier in the season. And so I'm just saying it's not like a huge, downgrade from Goodwin to Damiere Byrd.
I like that take, Johnny, and I like this new gray wood background that you got. Just shout out on that one. Whisper Nation, let us know what you think.
Switching things up,
keeping it fresh as we do. Travis, your boy Odell Beckham is going to miss Cleveland's week 2 matchup. Week 1 wasn't so much of a surprise. We knew he was coming back. We knew they maybe didn't, just taking a little bit cautious, but now this stretches into a different territory. Are you concerned at all? What's your outlook right now on Odell Beckham and his week 2 inactive status?
I don't know. I have mixed emotions. I think I want it to be all rosy here, but you got to be a little concerned. I did read an article saying, Cleveland's stance on it is a little bit conservative because he hadn't taken hits yet up until the very start of the season. So they definitely just want to make sure that OBJ is in a position to come back and stay on the field. That's what they really want because he hasn't been able to do that in Cleveland. So for me, it's never a good sign that you're not playing after, you've had plenty of time to heal. But also I could understand Cleveland being a little extra conservative with OBJ since they haven't really seen him.
They also don't really need him against Houston, so it does kind of make sense if he's not
and
100%.
They technically didn't need him against Cincinnati or Kansas City, although he probably would have helped, but still.
And honestly, let me ask you guys this: real talk, with them being a 17-week game, or 17-week season. It will be surprised. This will be something to monitor moving forward if coaches start to do this just to get their guys rest against games. That's what I'm saying. Like Trey Sermon and Brandon Ayuk against Detroit. Yes, it was. Could have been speculation of curfew or whatnot, but maybe it could also be this looks like the victory. We can get these guys another game of rest. And then now this, OBJ, not 100% possibly, but do we need him in this game against Houston to win? No, we don't. So let's give him another week of rest.
We know it's a long management.
Yeah.
I was just going to say OBJ, the Kawhi Leonard of the NFL. Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, Travis, I liked your take though, because it gave me a little bit of relief, honestly, because I think the Browns are actually doing exactly what we always wish the teams that rostered our dudes would do. And that's don't play a guy who's 75%. Let him get healthy over the next 2 weeks, put him in at 100%, decrease that risk of re-injury, and let's see him pop, right? So I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I'm right too. It's all about shares, and definitely there's some bias there. I have shares of OBJ, but I think after reading some stuff around them, they're starting to make smart decisions in Cleveland, which is, a shocker.
Yeah.
Hey, coaching, rational coaching.
Who'd ever heard of such a thing? Johnny, I'm going to your boy over in Detroit, DAndre Swift. He was limited in Thursday's practice, but this is really looking just like more of a precautionary step. Swift looked good. He looked explosive. The team looks, well, I don't want to say the Detroit Lions are bad. I don't want to go ahead and disrespect a squad that put up over 30 points and surprised a lot of people. I'm not going to say they're good. I'm just trying to be a kind person right now. How are you feeling, though, about DAndre Swift this week in season outlook?
You're getting him in your lineup. You're starting him. He's a uber talented running back. We said this on the matchup breakdown show. In his entire career as an NFL running back, he has only had 3 starts in which he got you single-digit fantasy points. All the rest of the time, it's at least double-digit. So you're definitely getting him in there, especially in this game. That's how you attack. That's how you attack this Green Bay defense, is you attack your running backs or use your running backs to attack it. And I do think they're going to be down by a lot in this game because I do think Aaron Rodgers is going to come out and say, all right, you guys wanted to make fun of me, say all these things, and I'll show you how dead I really am or how many Cadillac converters I've been selling over the offseason.
I'm going to steal yours next, and I'm going to steal your mom's after that. I hope he does, man. Fingers crossed, to play good football, not like go on a petty theft run. Christopher Hannon jumping in with the $4.99 super sticker.
Hey,
what's up, man? Love that.
Woo! Love that one.
Love that one.
Appreciate you.
Don't love that Tyrell Williams is not optimistic to play due to a concussion, Travis. But we're not really impacted by this. You're not starting any Detroit Lions pass catchers outside of TJ Hockenson and DAndre Swift.
Yeah, both backs. And Jamal Williams even getting in the receiving work too. And I think a fine flex option, especially in PPR leagues or RB desperate leagues that most of us are in. I don't love that Tyrell Williams has a concussion. But as TJ Hockenson truther all offseason, I love that TJ Hockenson will remain cemented as the number one option in this offense. And he is, if Waller didn't go for 19 targets, you'd be talking about Hockenson just dominating targets for tight ends right now.
Let me ask you this. Rest of the season, Hockenson or Kittle?
I mean, I'll take Hawk. I'll just take I can prove that right now. I think that everything's lining up. I know it's 1 week. It seems a little wild, but I can safely assume that Hawkinson's going to be the number one vein in his offense more than I can with Kittle. When Ayuk gets back up to speed, obviously Debo had a good week. All these different pieces for them.
Hockenson looks like who Kittle was last year to start the season.
2 years ago.
But because of this, it's the weapons now over in San Francisco that decrease Kittle's ceiling and his ability to pass block like a boss, which means he's going to be on the field, but maybe not running routes. In the past, they needed him to, but now they got Debo, they got Ayuk. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's a good question, Johnny. I think I'd go TJ Hockenson as well.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I'm not going with is running back Duke Johnson because he doesn't have a team right now after the Jaguars released him. This could be impactful. I think it actually is a little bit for James Robinson. It's an uptick. Carlos Hyde uptick too, who might have some playability in deep leagues. Look, it's a divided system. Urban Meyer's getting cute. We're not really big fans of what's going on in Jacksonville right now, but this Duke Johnson release, this is positive news, right, Travis?
Yeah, as far as touches are concerned, it's positive news. When you want backs to continue to get touches. I have my concerns about just Urban Meyer junking this whole offense up and them being out of syncs. And we have Carlos Hyde and James Robinson. So that's a backfield I'm monitoring closely. It's a team I'm monitoring closely before I'm trusting some of these players. I just have the heebie-jeebies on James Robinson right now, just based on week 1. But I understand having to roll him back out there and do what you have to do this week.
Yeah. Speaking of with the heebie-jeebies, Josh Jacobs' toe is giving Josh Jacobs' rosters the heebie-jeebies because Josh Jacobs was sidelined at Friday's practice, Johnny. You had a lot to say
out.
Yeah,
he got ruled out.
Officially
ruled out.
And then we had announced in the chat via Mr. Miyagi, Josh Jacobs is ruled out and will be out for Sunday. Thanks for the
Kenyan
intel
Drake.
on that one.
Get him in your lineup, baby.
Yeah. Johnny, go off on Kenyan Drake right now. How much you liking him this week?
Oh, I love him this week. I think not the greatest matchup on paper.
Yeah, terrible matchup.
But he's going to get the bulk of the carries and he's going to get a lot of receiving work. So I think in a PPR league, you're still fine.
In a PPR, I think he's a fantastic flex because of the receiving work for sure, as Johnny said. But Pittsburgh is not somebody I'm trifling with right now, especially, the Raiders. Offense.
Singletary was able to put up 70 rushing yards against this defense, which I'm not saying. Again, right. I agree with you.
Buffalo's the Pittsburgh Steelers Buffalo's offense giving them more opportunities, right, Johnny? So then I think Vegas is going to. That's my concern is Carr can really mess this up for Drake.
Real question. I know how powerful the Pittsburgh run defense is. No joke on that one. But Drake brings the pass catching ability to the table. He's got that play style. And so my question on this one is, I'm not expecting Kenyan Drake to bust it up the gut and have a bunch of, 7, 8, 10+ yard gushers through the middle. But could he be involved in the screen game? Could he be involved in the pass catching work and get around that stout front and still have a productive fantasy day?
It's not just the stout front, though. That's what I'm getting at, guys. No team allowed fewer receptions to the running back than Pittsburgh last year. They're even good against the pass catching back. So that's my point. It's just
middle.
Pittsburgh's defense is really good, and I don't trust Derek Carr in this matchup. That's all I'm saying.
Just call him Guinness because they're stout. All right. You miss all the shots that you don't take, folks. Will Fuller over there in Miami. We've been excited about him, his stretching the field ability, right? He was out with the suspension week 1. He's going to be out week 2 with a personal issue. Johnny, what do you think about this for Will Fuller's season-long outlook, and what are you looking at now for the Miami Dolphins offense?
Wait, he was officially ruled out for week 2?
Yeah, yes. We've got Dolphins head coach Brian Flores said Will Fuller will miss week 2 against the Bills with a personal issue. Cameron Wolf reports via Twitter. Yeah.
And what's interesting about this was it came out yesterday how he had missed practice. It wasn't quite clear as to whether it was personal or injury related. And then, it came out this morning. It was a personal issue. And then, just seeing that he is ruled out. Waddle again becomes interesting to me. I would put him in my lineup. I like him, and we've seen that chemistry with Waddle. I think he was an underrated rookie wide receiver coming in, so I would be fine putting in Waddle in my lineup this week. Definitely does. This sucks for Will Fuller, for people who drafted Will Fuller too. I'm one of them. I drafted Will Fuller, and not the greatest thing here. I can't necessarily say I was going to play him this week, but definitely thumbs up for Waddle in this matchup.
Just wanted to give you a shout out that Jersey J shared a little bit earlier. Johnny, thank you for the advice to play Waddle over Callaway last week. And for those who don't know, Callaway is one of Johnny's boys. That's a tough take for him to make. Your
Yeah,
advice won me my game. Way to go.
you.
Johnny's
That makes me
throwing Waddle
happy. That makes me
again
happy.
Yeah, it does, right? Man, I just feel bad for Will Fuller. I just hope he's doing okay personally. It seems like a really, really talented individual who's, may I say, some demons that he's working through or getting right or coming around for. I really hope we can see him play football because it's just such an explosive, entertaining thing to watch. Preston Williams, Travis, is another pretty impressive player who we don't get to see enough of because of his ailments that he's always got. But that foot that was kept him out of week 1, resumed practicing in full, upgraded on Thursday after Wednesday's limited session. It puts him on track to make his 2021 debut against the Bills, though Williams doesn't really have any appeal so much, right?
No, and I think this is, to Johnny's point, Waddle for sure here with Fuller out, but also Parker, who led the team in targets last week. I think Parker's a sneaky play this week as well in this matchup.
Moving over to the New England Patriots, Johnny, your boy Jonnu Smith was added to the Patriots injury report on Thursday, getting in a limited session with hip issues. You never really like to see these midweek injury report, but the Pats are something of the Patriots do what the Patriots do, right? As reported here by Mike Reese via Twitter. What do you think about Jonnu Smith? What do you think about Hunter Henry? Does this impact any of the other skill positions?
Oh, it definitely does. I expect Jonnu to have a good game against the Jets this week. They are horrible in pass defense.
So you do expect him to be back. So Jonnu's going to be in despite this injury concern.
Well, I would say monitor this. I hope he can get back. It doesn't seem to be super serious, but again, monitor this, because if he ends up being ruled out, then I would have more confidence in Hunter Henry being the only tight end there. But I was looking to start Jonnu this week, and then obviously, like, if Jonnu can't go either, this is a uptick as well for my boy Jacoby. Jacoby gets an uptick, and we'll see with Nelson Aguilar. He had a good game last week. He did not lead the team in targets, despite what a lot of people thought. But he did have a good week, so continue to see if that's the guy. But Jacoby did get 9 targets last week, and this Jets defense, like I said, is terrible. So I'm looking to get starters in here. So if Jonnu goes, I'm playing him. If he doesn't, then uptick to Jacoby and Hunter Henry.
And you mentioned a good point there. Monitor this situation, folks, and join the Sunday lineup show, the live lineup show, an hour and a half before kickoff on Sunday morning. That'll be 8:30 Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern time, where Johnny and Travis are going to go live on the YouTube channel and answer all of your questions before kickoff to make sure you have the best start-sit advice before kickoff while you're setting your lineups. Moving over to the New York Jets, where Jamison Crowder, dealing with a groin injury, Travis, was a limited participant in Thursday's practice. He was encouragingly activated from the team's COVID list this week as well, but immediately brought along slowly because of an apparent groin injury. We like Corey Davis. Jamison Crowder has been a PPR monster in years past. It seems like he's kind of working his way back into this system. Any interest or influence from Crowder this week, and then any more thought applied to him weeks beyond this?
I'd be holding out for Elijah Moore, investing in Elijah Moore before I'm going to be trying to look to pick up Jamison Crowder in this lineup right now. Corey Davis is obviously the number one in the pecking order, but I'd be rooting for the young rookie who is a slot maven. That's what he did in college very well. So that's what I would be holding out for. I think we're kind of done with the days with Jamison Crowder. Maybe I'm writing him off too early, but I just don't have any interest right now.
Yeah, I don't have any interest either in the Philadelphia Eagles veteran tight end Zach Ertz, although he did play last week and he was a limited participant in Thursday's practice. It looks like he had an injury in week 1 because of that. He might be in, he might be out. You're probably not starting him anyways. There's a better tight end available for you on the waiver wire, right, Johnny? But what does this Zach Ertz injury and update do to the other pass catchers over there in Philadelphia?
Definitely uptick for sure to Godwin, or Goddard, excuse me, if he ends up sitting in this one. And you also get an uptick to Devonta Smith. Really liked what he showed on tape last week. They look to have that connection. Speaking, I've been wanting to bring this up all week. and I just never had the opportunity. Did anybody else see Hurts straight up pulled a Russell Wilson moonball out of his pocket on that Sunday game against Atlanta to that tutty? That tutty to Smith was a moonshot, and no one talked about it. Not one person talked about it, which was unfortunate. But man, I'm telling you, Hurts is the real deal for Hurts. And again, if Ertz can't go, then I uptick to Goddard. I'm getting him in my lineup. Uptick to Smith, and you could even start to Rieger becomes a somewhat interesting flex start throw play.
Yeah, dude, I like Jalen Reagor on this one. It's 70% plus snap percentage last week. He showed that explosive ability. He came through in clutch. There's really no number 3. I'm kind of like Jalen moving forward. He's sneaking up on my list. But Travi, how about Brandon Ayuk, who looks to be sneaking up on the Kyle Shanahan's list? 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan said wide receiver Brandon Ayuk would have gotten his spot completely back if not for a hamstring injury before the team's final preseason game. He said the Niners planned on rotating Ayuk with wide receiver Trent Sherfield in week 1, and you got a big reaction to that. It's not personal, he said. Things are a bigger deal because of fantasy football. Yeah, they certainly are, mister, because at least Kyle Shanahan knows his roster decisions are triggering millions of fantasy managers. You're darn tootin'. With a full practice on Wednesday, Ayuk appears recovered, and these comments, they're kind of going back and forth. We talked earlier this week about him trying to make his boyfriend jealous by flirting with another person here in Trent Sherfield. Travis, we like this news for Ayuk. Do you like it enough to start him?
There's no way you could pay me to start Brandon Ayuk this week. And then inevitably that means he will go off. So you should probably start him. But no, all kidding aside, I think this is just, we have to see it. Shanahan got to play his game. He got to motivate Ayuk. Now he's hinting that he'll have his starting role back. Now Ayuk needs to go put it on the field and do it. And if he does, who I actually like in this game is Deebo Samuel, for all the reasons that this is going to be a shootout for, that we thought we were going to get Atlanta versus Philly. Atlanta didn't do their part. I have no reason to think San Francisco won't. And I actually like Deebo Samuel in this game. But yeah, I can't start Ayuk just yet.
Quick counterpoint from Johnny. I saw you making faces about Deebo Samuel. How you feeling about that start?
So for me, it completely depends on whether or not like Deebo has a big game. It depends on if they put Darius Slay on Deebo instead of Ayuk. Because if that happens, Deebo is not going to have a big day. Watch where they put Darius Slay. If they put Darius Slay on Ayuk, then Travis is absolutely right. Ayuk, you're not going to start him this week in your lineup because you just can't trust it. But as far as starting Deebo, it will be interesting if Philly decides to put Slay on Deebo, because then it could be a very long day for Deebo. Darius Slay absolutely shut down anyone and everyone that he guarded last week for Atlanta. That included Calvin Ridley, that included Kyle Pitts, and he even had some sets against Hurst and didn't let up very many yards at all.
Great points over there. Staying with San Francisco, Travis, I want to talk about your boy, Trey Sermon. Elijah Mitchell via The Athletic reports that 49ers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel said running back Trey Sermon will be active for week 2. He added that Sermon displayed extra aggressiveness in practice this week after being a shocking healthy scratch in week 1 against Detroit. Kyle Shanahan always says to the players and coaches, don't tell me, show me. What do you think about Trey Sermon this week and moving forward?
Won't be starting Trey Sermon, but like I said in the waiver wire column, you're investing in Elijah Mitchell because you're investing in the backfield. So if you have Sermon, you're obviously not dropping him. You're rooting for your shares in Sermon for him to pull through. And we talked about it on the matchup show that I think this will probably work out similar to how it was going to work out with Mostert and Sermon. Sermon was going to start the year in a Jeff Wilson-esque role, probably get some of the goal line work, probably be the grinder for them. And you're going to have the big playability out of Elijah Mitchell, who is the fast, explosive runner here. I think that's how this will shake out in this game. I don't think I'm going to throw Sermon in my lineup, even though it would be good. But let's see Sermon's usage. Let's see what happens here after the motivation, similar to Ayuk, and then we can kind of better project this backfield going forward for when we get other matchups like this. They have a few matchups coming up that are going to be good for the backs.
Would you start Elijah Moore? Or would you start Elijah Mitchell?
Oh, you're definitely starting Elijah Mitchell this week. Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
are
you
only
spent a bunch.
concerned with Trey Sermon? You said to bench Trey Sermon. I'm just curious as to. Okay.
Because I can't project Sermon's out usage. I can better project Elijah Mitchell's usage because of how he was used last week. I didn't see Sermon on the field last week. So it could be that they put Sermon in, he fumbles quickly, he's out of the game. Elijah Mitchell will at least probably get usage to start, and I can go from there. And I just think there's a lot of points to be scored in this game. You're going to want a piece of it. I think with Sermon, you'd basically be betting on that old Tevin Coleman 4-touchdown game. That's what you're trying to get out of Sermon is a couple plunges into the end zone. If you want to roll the dice for that, I don't personally, but that's what I think he's in line for.
Just a quick clarifying point there, Trav. You mentioned, and I agree, that if you have Elijah Mitchell on your roster, you likely spent a healthy dose of your WAB or used that first priority to pick him up. So you're really tempted to put him in your lineup. Are you excited to put him in your lineup? Like, do you think Elijah Mitchell is a start, or do you think that it's a fun option?
It always depends on the roster build, right? But in cases like I have Elijah Mitchell in a couple leagues where I went 0 RB, right? So I was looking for the RB2 fix, or I went anchor RB, and I'm looking for the RB2 fix. So if that's your build, yes, you're excited to put him in because the logic is you believe Elijah Mitchell's the guy. That's why you spent the WAB on it. So if you believe he's the guy, this is his opportunity to keep the job. Of course, I'm excited to put him in my lineup now. That's the logic that you're working with. It would take something different in the story to change that. And right now you're believing a story. That's why you went and picked him up.
Nice. So you got him in Tolton?
Yeah, I got him in. Yeah. I have. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was that or Jamal Williams, but yeah.
I like that, Travis. Backing it up. Love it. We're going to be going now from San Francisco to the other side of the country and talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But before we do, I just want to give a quick shout out to Whisper Nation. It's awesome to have you in here. If it's your first time joining the show, drop us a hello in the chat. Love to give you a shout out on this one. And if you enjoy what you're hearing, hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing before you leave. Johnny, we're going over to the Tampa Bay running back room where Bruce Arians said that they've got a trio of starters in Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, and Giovanni Bernard. Is this the three-headed Hydra, or is this three-headed Dehydrateds?
No, it's a three-headed. Like this is also kind of funny because it's like BA and just coming out here just like toying with everybody. He knows the right things to say to get people fired up, and this is no different. Nor do I think he's lying either. I think that they are going to go with a three-headed kind of style. They're going to go with who they want to put in during that play because it fits Tom Brady and what they're doing. I think they're going to throw a lot. I think that's on the game plan for every single week, even when they're up, because I believe they are going from records this year. They want to score a lot of points. And so I really don't want anything to do with this running backfield. I said that from the beginning, just because I felt like it could be a mess, and it's turning out to be that way. The only person in that backfield that I want to own, Tom Brady.
Yeah, right. It's going to be an up and down outcome all season long for literally every single skill position, most likely other than Tom Brady. You're going to have Gronk with some weeks that he goes off and then he doesn't. There's going to be one wide receiver left out of the mix. There just has to, by the sheer reality of math. Same thing with the running backfield. But Tom Brady is the consistent factor behind it all, isn't he, Johnny? And I like the narrative that you've been spinning here of Tom Brady going for the all-time season touchdown record breaking Peyton Manning's of 55, I believe. Travis, we've got our last subject here over in Tennessee. Whisper Nation, we're going to be getting to your questions here after we conclude our news and notes. So if you've got any more questions for us, hit us in the chat. We're going to be jumping to those right after we get through this last point. And that, Travis, is about Tennessee Titans wide receiver A.J. Brown. He looks like he's been dealing with some maintenance days. It looks like maintenance days might just be a way of life for the talented second-year wideout. His knee was causing him to be limited in practice, but he was upgraded to full on Thursday. Any concern or pause or anything like this? Or what are you doing right now with this, with A.J. Brown and the rest of the weapons in Tennessee?
You have concern as an A.J. Brown roster that he's got these knee issues, but you're not concerned this week. You're rolling him out there every week that he's going to be upgraded to full. This is just probably a nature of the beast with him and Julio. You remember Julio used to do this stuff all the time. Similar body type players. Yeah, like I just like similar body type players. They're going to continue to like work through knee and joint issues. They're big human beings and they play a violent sport. So they're going to be on the injury report a lot. But you're going to start them with confidence if you got him.
There we go. You've got it. Get AJ Brown in your lineup. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of these questions. Whisper Nation, thanks for throwing them at us. Jumping up here at the top, y'all. All right. So Jersey J comes in and asks, Waddle, Aguilar, Jamal Williams, Ingram, or White? James White, I presume. Got to pick two. One for running back, one for flex.
I'm going
Johnny,
Jamal
strong
Williams.
choice.
I'm going Jamal Williams for running back. And then I'm going Waddle for the wide receiver for me. I'm going to double down on Waddle.
Agreed. Any disagreement there, Travi?
No, I like that. I mean, I could see a situation if it's full point PPR, you're maybe putting in a James White, but I like Jamal Williams, just usage. I mean, here's the thing: is like we talked about Hockenson. The other direct beneficiary are these backs, and both of them are getting used in the passing game in Detroit, and that's like having a wide receiver kind of usage at running back. Plus, he could plunge in for a touchdown.
Like it. Sticking here with Jersey J, still wide receivers, Waddle, Aguilar, then running backs. Oh, same question here. Got you there. Hope that satisfies your spot. But this was the question I wanted to get to. Jersey J asks, super flex spot, Carr or Hurts? I'm thinking Hurts, but Carr looked great. I'm torn here.
Hurts.
It's got to be Hurts, right? Especially with
Carr.
Nick
Are the Raiders
Sirianni's
being posted somewhere that they're playing somebody other than the Steelers? Johnny's excited to start Drake. This guy wants to start Carr. Like they're playing the Steelers.
Yeah, I want to start Drake because he's going to be the only running back there.
I
mean, they'll get Washington.
You're right. You're right.
Level,
like usage. You're right. Your usage. I'm just like wondering what people are doing here with the Raiders.
Yeah, don't. Carr does this all the time. I think we've said this could be his best year coming in. He's got the best weapons, arguably, that he's had, Derek Carr. But he pops off every year a couple of times. Last week he had over 400 yards for the first time in like 3+ seasons. So Hurts looks like he's more of the real deal. Carr's given a large enough sample size where we
think
know
about this. Like, and this is going back to the Danny Dimes point, right? Week 1, Washington against Herbert. Herbert gets 14 fantasy points. Okay, and then he's going against Danny Dimes. You're not going to start Washington or Danny Dimes against that after you just saw Herbert get shut down. Sure, Herbert threw for a lot of yardage, but fantasy-wise, he had a terrible day. Same thing. What did we just see from Josh Allen, who we all drafted as the number 2, maybe the number 1 quarterback off the board, shut down week 1 against Pittsburgh? And sure, I get it. Like Austin said, Derek Carr does this in his, I mean, yes, Baltimore's defense project to be really good, but I doubt he doubles down again on a back-to-back difficult matchup against a difficult pass defense. So to your point,
it just wouldn't be a safe bet, right? Like that's just not the safe bet is to go with Derek Carr.
Right.
Not a good idea to hit on 18, but sometimes there's a 3 sitting behind that next card.
Sometimes I also like to live dangerously.
Yeah, right.
Sir, you have 5.
That's how I feel too when it's like, and then you end up getting it wrong. Watch, Derek Carr's gonna have a monster game, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, you guys said
DMs are blowing up."
I just don't know. Like,
go with the right plays.
In a vacuum, when you have Derek Carr and Jalen Hurts, who also had a great game. So, like, even if you're like, well, San Francisco's defense, I mean, Jalen Hurts had a great game. He was dealing.
And then
Jalen Hurts walks. Jalen Hurts wakes up every morning, every Sunday morning, sometimes on Mondays and sometimes on Thursdays. And he wakes out of bed and he's already got 60 rushing yards on his slate for your fantasy matchup because that's just what he does. I love walking into a game with just 6 points right there that I know I'm going to get because that's what Hurts is going to give you.
The third question from Jersey J, should I drop Michelle or Callaway for Tony Jones Jr. or just keep Michelle and Callaway? Michelle did surprise or disappoint or make your day if you have Darrell Henderson, as I think he got just 1 touch overall.
Yeah.
Definitely a reduced debut.
Not exactly what I expected. Travis kind of expected that though. That was a great call by Travis on the Henderson and Michelle. I would still keep Michelle and Callaway unless you're unless you got Alvin Kamara, then I would go and I would be like, okay, I'll handcuff Tony to Alvin. But in this stage right now, I would keep Michelle and Callaway.
It'll be interesting to watch Tony Jones Jr. He's going to have some standalone value here, I think. If they can really get the offense rolling, I think they'll actually get to that point where they want to be a more run-heavy approach, which could be the, poor man's version of what they used to do here.
I think to that point there, Tony Jones could have value no matter what ends up happening. I mean, he had 11 carries for 50 yards last week and was involved in the passing game with a target which he caught. Sony Michel wasn't involved at all, though. So if you don't think that Sony Michel is going to be able to eclipse Darrell Henderson, then he's in kind of the similar position with Tony Jones, but Tony Jones is getting more active work.
I think Sony will take over this backfield by the end of the year.
That's why you're saying that.
Yeah, 100%. Travis might have doubts about that, but I don't
know. I don't know if you could say 100%. I think you have your hat in the ring for a guy. That's your belief. I don't think that there's 100% chance that Henderson keeps it. I don't think that there's 100% chance of anything in fantasy. I'm invested heavily. Life. Yeah. I just think right now Henderson has done nothing to lose the job. And so that's where I'm at with it. We have to approach it with new information. And he looked fine against a tough Chicago's defense. He's going to go out there and do what he has to do against Indy. And we'll see what happens after this week. I want to just say to that last question, maybe split the difference. If you're investing in Callaway and Tony Jones, maybe split the difference. Keep the Rams player and pick one of the Saints players that you want to invest in, either the passing game or the running game. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be over invested in either team here. Try and get that piece of Michel. Keep Michel on the roster.
Jaden asks, how should I set up my lineup? I got Josh Allen, Ryan Tannehill, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Tyson Williams, and Devontae Adams, Brandon Cooks, Corey Davis, Devontae Smith, Saints defense, Bills defense, Harrison Butker. I'm going to go ahead and take a second to plug the Sunday morning lineup show also, because we can go ahead and break this one down. We will. I'm going to keep talking while Johnny and Travis looks at this and comes up with their ideas of it. But join the show 90 minutes before kickoff, because we're going to have more information between Friday and Sunday morning. And we'd love to go over these ones. Like and subscribe to the Fantasy Whispers. Hit that bell so you get the notification of when we do go live. Johnny and Travis are going to be taking in all your questions with all of the up-to-date information Sunday morning, 90 minutes before kickoff. That's 8:30 Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern time. We'll see you there. But we got a question right now, Travis. Who are you putting in your lineup if you've got Jaden's guys?
All right, let me try this out here. I want to put Josh Allen in. I don't think you can bench Josh Allen, although Ryan Tannehill is a start for me this week, so you have good problems here. Aaron Jones, Najee Harris would be my two starts at running back. I would go wide receiver heavy here, go Devontae Adams, Brandon Cooks, Corey Davis. Those would be the three I'm starting, and I'm going with the Saints defense over the Bills, although this is kind of close. I do like the weapons that are on Carolina better than I like Miami's weapons right now, but I trust the Saints defense to keep rolling in what they're doing against a Carolina team with Sam Darnold at the helm.
Way to take that one to the bank. Johnny Alexander Marquez is in a PPR league and wants to know who he should start between James Robinson, Corey Davis, Christian Kirk, Nyheim Hines, or Chase Claypool.
I'm going to go Corey Davis and Claypool. Wait, PPR though. I actually might try to fit Hines in there. I'd probably go Corey Davis and Hines. It's hard to bench Claypool though, but he's not going to get like a massive amount of workload. That's the only problem. He's not going to get like 10 targets.
It'll be interesting to watch. Go ahead.
I just wanted to know, is Chase Claypool a new Big Mike Williams? That's
could very well be. Could very well be. My concern with Pittsburgh is the low volume in the passing attack, which we talked about them wanting to do. This was a tough matchup. I want to see them in some other matchups. This is going to be a winnable one through the air, or should be if Ben's not dusted. So we'll see a lot. This will be very revealing for us. They did run a career high rate for Ben and play action, which is good signs for the passing attack. But it did look like Juju was still a guy they want to consistently use a lot, which is frightening because I want it to be Claypool and Deontay Johnson that they use a lot more. So we'll just see. We'll know a lot more. And I think to Johnny's point, maybe you're sitting Claypool for now. He's a wide receiver 3 with upside until we see more.
Mm-hmm. You're right. The Steelers cannot shake Juju. They even tried to. They said, we're not even going to pay you what the best offense in the NFL will pay you, thinking that it's like when you need to fire somebody and you just cut their hours instead. And they were like, no, I'll just take the reduced hours. I like it here. And you're like, what?
Catch a hint, Juju. Jeez.
If he can't catch a hit, he's probably going to catch a few balls just enough to curb your Chase Claypool appeal. Manuel Gomez wants to know, who do I start? We got Javonte Williams or Tyson Williams. Also, Henry Ruggs, Marquez Callaway, or Devonta Smith. Pick two, please. So 2 of these 5. I'll let you take this one, Johnny.
I would go Javonte, and I would go probably Devonta Smith.
That was going to. It's close between Callaway, right?
It is close between Callaway, but again,
one of these guys is like the team is heavily invested in getting the ball, and that's Devonta
right.
Smith. You know, like they manufactured that offense around him, at least the passing attack in that Atlanta game.
There's a lot of predictions and a lot of speculation surrounding everybody, but specifically Marquez Callaway. Love him. But here's what we do know about Devonta Smith. Top 10 draft pick, led the team in snap percentage with 87%, led the team in yards, led the team in targets, caught a touchdown. I really like Devonta Smith until we see a reason not to.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Marquez Callaway. I just really like Devonta Smith.
Yeah,
Mr. Miyagi asks, Danny against Dallas now seems interesting. I guess it's more of a comment than a question, but I would agree. That actually could be a nice startable play for Daniel Jones, right?
Now you're like, but no, people are going to get him in their lineup, and then he's going to put up nothing, and then that's what happens, dude. You chase it. You chase the points. You chase the points.
Roddy Mosley wants to know if he should start Melvin Gordon or Devonta Williams. These are the 2 running backs over in Denver. Gordon did what we said he could do, right? He's that 1A. The reports out of camp said he will be. He had that great run. Devonta Williams is predicted to be a great halfback, but it might not be his year. Travis, this week, though, if you had to start one of these 2, which one are you going with?
Yeah, I think it is Melvin Gordon this week. Great matchup for them going up against Jacksonville as heavy favorites. They'll be able to run the ball the way they want to. And really, the usage in the passing game was what I like to see out of Melvin Gordon. 3 catches on 3 targets. He was definitely used. Whereas, you had Javonte caught a negative screen. So that's what you like to see out of Melvin, because he did have sneaky pass catching upside. We didn't talk about that a lot when he was one of those elite backs. And so that's a guy that, as a veteran, is going to probably continue to play that role.
Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. It's like, who am I going to go on a date with this weekend? Javonte Williams is better looking, but I'm going to have a better time with Melvin Gordon when it's all said and done. And that's what you really want. It's like, I know I can have such a great, it's just not going to be a good time with Javonte Williams. It's going to be a good time with Melvin Gordon, despite the lack of sex appeal early on.
Melvin Gordon just has the higher chance to get a touchdown between the 2. But Javonte will probably out-touch Gordon. That's what happened in week 1.
Yeah, yeah. That Melvin Gordon breakout run, I didn't expect to see that one coming in.
Neither did I.
I know.
Till it happened.
So, which is keeping him on the radar for Denver. Clap. Ooh, fun name. Ooh, interesting question. Trade Laviska for Ayuk.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go smash this right now.
And it's just really simple. Like, if somebody's offering you that right now, like you drafted Ayuk above Laviska, and I know you say trade out, like throw out draft capital, but not in this situation. Laviska was, like that offense we don't trust. We trust San Francisco. Ayuk should get right.
Yeah.
This is more of a comment than a question, but I wanted to shout it up. Mel, thanks for joining the show here. His picks to finish the top of their position this week in PPR: Devontae Adams, wide receiver for the Packers, going against the Detroit Lions, and Austin Eckler at running back, who did not have a reception reception last week, but we do expect him to bounce back. Just Johnny, quickly touching on Austin Eckler, do you believe in the bounce back as ML here does?
I do. I do think that you will see a really big bounce back game. Well, I shouldn't say really big, because Eckler had a decent game week 1, but I think you're more so talking about the pass catching. Does he get involved in the passing work for Eckler? And I think he does. I like Eckler. I would actually go and try to trade for Eckler if you can right now, because his value is still relatively low despite scoring a touchdown last week, because people are saying, oh, well, I don't know if he's going to get that passing work, and he didn't get it week 1, and there goes his ceiling, which I thought. And it's just week 1 again against Washington. They probably had a game plan to attack it a certain way. And I do think that there are better days ahead for Austin Eckler.
I think so too. Sticking with ML here, this is more of just a glad hand than it is a comment. But Johnny, I know you love David Montgomery. You picked him up in our league of record. He had a really nice week 1, looking like what you were hoping for when you picked him a little bit
look
early.
At this stat line. I hope this happens. I hope this stat line happens. 150 and 2 tutties. That would be glorious. I don't know if that happens though. Not that much.
I mean, all I wanted last night from the Thursday night football game was a 99-yard pass from Antonio Gibson to Terry McLaurin. I didn't get it, but you never know, right? You might get the 150 and 2 scores. Like, you never know, man. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. Moving over here. Let's see what we got here. ML jumping back in here. Bears Bengals, guy that will change people's minds this week. Oh, this one, excuse me. We just got that one up there. So Mr. Miyagi's isn't as excited about Darius Byrd. Travis ran the same damn hook route in New England. No faith in him. I mean, it's a little bit of a dart throw anyways, right?
It's just like not a passing attack until Fields gets in that we're going to be like running to go invest in outside of Allen Robinson right now.
Yeah, you're not going to play Damiere Byrd. I was saying from a standpoint of like skill level of that third wide receiver, it's not a huge significant downgrade for the quarterback as to whether or not they're playing Byrd or Goodwin.
Nice clarification there. Mr. Miyagi coming in. You can't start Gaskins over Eckler, Monty, or Swift this week. And then with the implied, can you?
I am Ron Burgundy. I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't start him over any of those guys.
Full point PPR, 2 flex. Which do I start? Hollywood Brown, Devontae Parker, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, Javonte Williams, or Schwartz?
I low-key do like Schwartz a lot this week, but not in a PPR league because he's only going to get like 2 or 3 targets, but he's probably going to score a touchdown. Just so you know.
There's like some interesting players here. Hamler and Patrick are both interesting. Javonte's interesting. I just don't think I would start anybody over Hollywood and Devontae Parker in this 2 flex situation. So those are the 2 I'm starting, in my opinion. Parker because of the usage last week, and Marquis Brown because he's been hot over the last 6 games or so.
No concern for Tre'Davious White with Parker.
I mean, they haven't really been shadowing White. They've moved him. He doesn't really shadow. So no, he wasn't projected to shadow at least, and he didn't in week 1. So
Mason Scott asks, he's in a super flex league. Wants to know, should he start Robert Woods, Devonta Smith, or DJ Moore? A quarterback, if you can, because you're in super flex, but that's not who you proposed to us. So Robert Woods, Devonta Smith, or DJ Moore. Travis, do you have a strong opinion on this one?
No, I mean, this is tough. I want to start Woods. The Cooper Kupp's monster game scares me. I think I might go Smith here. I just think that matchup tends to be one that is going to produce more points than these other games. I'm a little bit scared off of Carolina against New Orleans. They had a really good defensive showing. They could be heating up here. Yeah, I think Smith is just the one that the offense is dedicated to. Moore gets in there as well. I don't know, Johnny. But is it between Devonta and DJ Moore for you?
If this is this a PPR? If this is a PPR league, I'm going DJ Moore. DJ Moore's getting 10 targets and he's a yak monster. So even it's not the greatest matchup, like you said, but I could see him putting a nice PPR day together. But if it's half PPR, Devonta is very interesting to me. Like you said, that offense is just running they're targeting him. He's the number 1 there. So I'm fine with either one of those guys.
Yeah, they both have the same amount of targets in week 1. I don't know. I think I'm just leaning Devonta, but yeah, I could see why DJ Moore's the better, safer bet.
DJ Moore, Devonta has the better quarterback throwing him the ball. So there's that.
I'm really excited to see what DJ Moore does the rest of the season over here with Sam Darnold. Jimmy Navarro, though, Johnny wants to know about Terry McLaurin, Nyheim Hines in a trade for Robert Woods and Eli Mitchell. Who wins in this one? It's a full point PPR. First you, Johnny, and then I'd like to know what you have to say, Travis.
Terry McLaurin and Nyheim Hines win for me. Full PPR. Yeah, I would take that trade all day of the week, twice on Sunday, and 3 times last night.
Yeah, he's the best player in this deal. Terry McLaurin is. Nyheim Hines is used in the passing game, similar to Detroit. They're using those backs as their main source of moving the ball in Indianapolis. And Nyheim Hines has a role that's established in PPR. He's a really good back to have on your roster.
Rock Out needs to put 2 in his flex. AB, assuming Antonio Brown, Corey Davis, Javonte Williams, Tyson Williams, full point PPR. Big Travie, who comes to mind here for 2 flex options? Antonio Brown, Corey Davis, Javonte Williams, Tyson Williams, full point PPR.
I hate the phrase, it's not even close. But for me, it's AB and Corey Davis, and it's not even close in this one. These two need to be in your roster.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. Oh, Freak Stomper. They've only asked these questions. I want to get yours, man, but you're not asking us a question up here. I'm starting Mitchell over Ayuk, Marvin Jones, and Corey Davis. I drafted him in Dynasty Year. Great comment. If you got a question, let us know, man. We would love to get to that one. Like Mr. Miyagi's, do I start Tannehill? What do you think, Johnny?
It's a nice matchup against Seattle. They should have to keep in. So I do think it's better than what his showing was last week. It just, again, depends on who you have. I think he threw out Tannehill or Hurts on who he should start. I would go with Hurts over Tannehill this week.
Yeah. And just to clarify on that one, Jersey, he was in here 30 minutes early. He just had his first 3 questions. We're making sure we get to all of them. We'll get to all of them today.
Jersey.
Johnny and Travis are also going to get to all of your questions Sunday morning, 90 minutes before kickoff. That's 8:30 a.m. on the West Coast, 11:30 a.m. over there on the East Coast, somewhere there in the middle. If you live in the mountain time zones or central time zones, you know where you're at. Be sure to join us on the YouTube channel to have all of your questions answered with the most up-to-date information. Love this. Mr. Miyagi asks, DeAndre Swift or Deontay Johnson, half-point PPR, Travis? I'm going to ask this one to Travis. And then Johnny, because I know Johnny has much.
I thought you were going to go straight to Johnny because it's such a Johnny question between the two of them.
Stew for a second.
No, I don't.
I'm going to go.
I'm not going to answer.
I'm going to go with. Man, this is tough. I'm going to go with Swift because I think he's more of a focal point for his offense. And although, man, that matchup is so good against the Raiders. The problem with Ben is I'm like really scared off Ben. This is going to be a good litmus test for the offense, but you know what? I will actually take Deontay Johnson because the game script checks out to be better. Detroit could get behind, and all you would have out of Swift maybe is them coming from behind trying to throw to. He did get the targets, but I think Deontay Johnson's going to get the targets too, and this is going to be a game where they're going to be able to throw all over the Raiders.
Which one of your 2 children do you love more, Johnny?
I actually, now that I would for me, I would go Swift over Deontay. I do like Deontay. I love his matchup, but again, he's going to see about 10 to 12 targets in this game. We know Deontay's going to catch about half of them. Maybe he catches a little bit more, gets 8 receptions in there. That's 4 points and half point. I guarantee you that DeAndre Swift's going to get the same amount of targets, but he's also going to get work on the ground. And so for me, it's just safer floor for DeAndre Swift in this game because I do expect them to be down from behind, and Swift is going to be that running back that they're going to go to for pass jumping.
DeAndre Swift, you heard it here first. You're going to be at your music recital, and your dad's not going to be there. He's going to be at your brother's game instead. Jason wants to know, hey, I may have a chance to trade Tyler Higbee for Javonte Williams. I only have CEH and Zeke as my running backs. Not bad. But I also have Kittle at tight end. What are your thoughts, Travis, on Jason's question? You're trading Higbee for Javonte Williams.
Do this in a heartbeat. You're trading onesie positions between the tight end and the running back. This is like whenever you can get a tight end that's a late round tight end or an upstart tight end you can trade that out and get a running back, you do it.
Yeah. I love Higbee.
Especially having Kittle.
If you can turn Higbee into Javonte Williams, and you have Kittle, then that's where I'm going.
That's looking like a nice, well-rounded roster coming
together. Would you trade Kittle for Javonte and a piece if you have Higbee?
It would depend the piece. Is it a thigh or a breast in the bucket? What are we talking about here? Like, how good is the piece that we're talking?
It's hard to say what that guy has on his team.
Yeah, I'm going to invest in Kittle and then try to trade Higbee out because I think that has more likely of the bottom falling out, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I was trying to think of a wide receiver that could maybe, okay, here's one. What if it was Javonte and Courtland Sutton for Kittle? And you have Higbee, would you do it? I think I would.
There's so much upside on those two, and they're mystery boxes. It's a tough one because it's a mystery box.
Wait, so you're saying for Higbee? Yeah.
No. I know. I'm saying
for Kittle
saying for Kittle. I'm saying because he has Higbee and he has Kittle, And I don't think that at the end of the season, the outcome is going to be very different in fantasy points between Kittle and Higbee. And so for me, if I can get more value out of Kittle right now and sell him relatively high because his name is still up there, then I think I would go back at. I would say, I'll give you Kittle if you'll give me Javonte, and let's say if he did have, that's what I said, Sutton, who people think his value is down right now, but I think it's going to start to emerge up. Would you do that deal over just saying, all right, I'll take Higbee for Javonte and keep my Kittle and be happy with that? It's a trade scenario.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think that one's close. Definitely close.
Definitely close. And I want to get Jersey J's clarifying point up here. Hit that money if you want your question to go to the top. We're pretty easy.
Amen.
$1.99 gets us to go a long way. And we really love to hit the Ric Flair. I'm not going to do it because I couldn't do it.
I see what you're doing. Well, I got to give him a sample. Sample it.
Whole thing. You know what to do on this one. But yeah, we're just going to get through all these questions in the order that we count them come in, unless you throw a little on top of that one. Carlito's Way asks, is Michael Pittman Jr. worth a hold? PPR, he's bench depth for me right now.
I'd drop him if you need to go pick up someone.
Yeah, I think if you've got some upstart running backs or something that are like other projects that have more upside, I would go after. But I think it's worth it. You know, if you've got the spot, like no need to drop them right now for nothing. I would keep on to somebody because somebody could emerge here in Indy. I thought, you know, Pascal is worth mentioning in waivers. You've got Pittman Jr. Can somebody emerge for Wentz as the number one target? That's what we're waiting to see.
I think it is going to be Pascal. I think Pascal's going to be. Would you rather have Michael Pittman or Jones Jr. For the Saints?
Tony Jones?
Yeah.
I'd probably rather have Tony Jones.
All right.
I think that's just has more upside to me.
I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and for me, this question just comes down to who else is worth the investment. You're going for an upside play here. There's somebody intriguing on your waiver wire. Ask us on Sunday again about this question when we have more up-to-date information 90 minutes before kickoff on the YouTube channel for the Sunday Live Lineup show. The Chue, excuse me for butchering that one, asks 2 running backs I should start this week. We got Melvin Gordon, Kenneth Gainwell, Jamal Williams, or Mike Davis. Travis, we got to start 2. Melvin Gordon with the Broncos, Kenneth Gainwell with the Eagles, Jamal Williams with Detroit, or Mike Davis with Atlanta.
Take in Melvin Gordon and Jamal Williams here. I think those are the plays. Mike Davis scares me against Tampa Bay. He did get some receiving usage that was nice to see, but I still can't start. I mean, Zeke looked like he was old and slow against Tampa Bay, and maybe he is, but I think that's a really good front either way. Melvin Gordon, like we talked about, probably going to be the better time this weekend against Jacksonville.
Nice defensive question here. I like it. Rockout wants to know, are there any good sleeper defenses, Johnny? He doesn't feel good about his Colts D start.
There are a couple of defenses. The Saints are a good defense to stream right now and play. I don't know if they'll be available on your waiver wire or not. I do like that matchup. Chicago against Cincinnati is interesting to me. I know they got lit up on Monday night, but that is an interesting one because that offensive line, not the greatest. We could see what Mac could do, and you could see Joe Burrow a couple of INTs. And those are like basically the 2 that come to mind right now as like streaming ones that I wouldn't mind throwing out there.
Travis, what about our Green Bay Packers?
I was just going to suggest Green Bay. I think their roster percentage was really low after last week. They're a team you could get if they're still there on waivers. They might not be. Another one that might be sneaky is actually Johnny's Arizona Cardinals that I think if they're still available, because Minnesota, yes, can put up points. They've also had offensive line woes, and we saw what Chandler Jones did to a very similar squad in Tennessee. So I actually like Arizona and Green Bay. So not to be homers here, but I think both defenses have a shot to score some points.
Just quickly to get in Jason's point here, Cole Kmet on waivers as well to easily fill that role of Higbee. It could be Cole Kmet. It could be a lot of other tight ends that you're likely going to have available. Someone's going to be in store, right?
I mean, Cole Kmet's not going to have the ceiling of Higbee. Like Higbee has top 5 tight end potential this year, and that's actually where I had projected him.
Yeah. This was involved in the trade talk. Just going back to a couple of questions earlier. Yeah, we're not replacing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can. It's not going to be you can fill in the tight end hole.
Yeah.
You're going to take that Higbee ceiling, apply it to other positions, and then you can still make sure you don't have a vortex there in your tight end position.
Mm-hmm.
Andre Silva asked, what running back would you guys start? Oh, no, this is a new one. What running back would you guys target? I've got Taylor, Jamal Williams, Kenyan Drake, Kenneth Gainwell, and Javonte Williams. It's a half-point PPR. Johnny, who do you want to see on your lineup between Taylor, Jamal Williams, Kenyan Drake, Kenneth Gainwell, and Javonte Williams?
No, Jonathan Taylor. I would definitely try to.
I think he's saying he has these backs, and who he should target on the waivers. I think that's what he's saying here. And I think I just wanted to make a point on this. Johnny, you made a great point about Drake, and now with the Jacob situation is a great back to keep on your roster. Kenneth Gainwell is another one to keep your eye on. He looked really good in that first game. He's a guy they've talked about, and I think his usage was very promising for standalone value should this offense reach another level.
Yeah, 100%.
Is there any world where Kenneth Gainwell takes Miles Sanders' lunch?
No.
Just as well, there could be if Sanders fumbles or gets hurt. So yeah, those would be the issues. He did have fumbling issues in college, and so if that creeped back in, I think they do like Gainwell.
Right on. Jason says, thanks, guys. You are very welcome. And make sure you come with other lineup questions to the Sunday morning show, an hour and a half before our kickoff on Sunday morning, 8:30 Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern. I know you're going to have more questions between now and then, and we're going to have more answers for you. Mr. Miyagi coming in. Thanks, guys. You're very welcome. We'll see you on Monday's night stream. We'll see if I win on Monday night stream. Last one from me is Swift. Swift is my flex. Can I start Deontay Johnson over Calvin Ridley, Alvin Robinson, or CeeDee Lamb? Johnny's emphatically nodding yes.
Start him over Ridley. Start him over Ridley. I'm telling you right now.
I don't think I could start him over Ridley, but Johnny's been on that bandwagon to say no to Ridley and been on for Deontay. For me, I think Ridley's the better prospect. He's going to get the same amount of target market share that Deontay is going to get. So that I would roll.
Atlanta is against Tampa Bay. They have really good corners.
Okay. Those corners just got beat by really good wide receivers last week. So and Bunting got hurt, right? So is he even playing? So yeah,
they had the deepest corners of any team in the NFL. And not only that,
right, bro, you could say, hold on. Stance. I have mine. I'm not going to start Ridley. Or
I would start Deontay over Ridley. Ridley is not going to have a great game this weekend. It will be a disaster for him. And so I would go with Deontay, Allen Robinson, and CD.
Good problems to have over here, though. I'm really personally curious to see what Calvin Ridley's about. I've just never felt it, but it all logically lines up. We'll see. Do I start Ryan Tannehill or Matthew Stafford? Nathan Larson asks. Big Travie. Nathan wants to know. Matt Stafford, Ryan Tannehill. Who would you put in?
Man. I think it has to be. It sucks because every question that gets asked about Tannehill it makes me go with the other guy, even though I wrote Tannehill as a start in my column here. For start sit, I think it's Stafford because he's just rolling hot right now. That's what I got. And I just think what we did see out of Tennessee that was a little bit frightening was they went from one of the most efficient and voluminous teams in play action to one of the worst in the league in week 1. So that scares me off of that in this particular matchup. I still do like Tannehill. He's a hold. I still do like him about some of the other fringe, but I saw enough out of Stafford to be rocking with him until further notice.
Oh, Clap asks, trade Laviska for Ayuk, and he does say, I don't think I was here. I apologize if they got to it. We did answer this question earlier. The answer is, heck yeah, get Ayuk on your team for Laviska.
Slam that accept.
Slam that
accept. Yeah, and then you said, who should I, Ayuk or Vis? Did we ask the Ayuk or Visca?
Yeah, that was the one he asked earlier that we got to, and then he had to step away. So I hope you heard that one, Clap.
Or are you saying, who should I start, Ayuk or Visca? I would go Ayuk.
This is a different guy.
Oh, okay.
We'll get on the way on down to there. Easy wants to know though, Mitchell or Hines, Big Travie. Who do you like? Sony Michel or no? I got Elijah Mitchell or Nyheim Hines.
I'll take Elijah Mitchell. Yeah.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I'll go with Mitchell. I'll go with Mitchell on that.
There's a world Mitchell is the dog. There's not a world where Hines is the dog. Correct. I mean, barring game flow and injury and weird stuff like that.
PPR would make this more interesting.
PPR. That's where I'm getting. I don't know if this is
I
PPR.
still think I would. I still think I would roll with Mitchell's upside in this potential shootout. So,
all right. And Stafford or Hurts?
Hurts.
Yeah, it's Hurts.
I like Hurts.
Hurts just has a ceiling Stafford doesn't have, even if as good as Stafford did look.
Yeah. Jersey J coming in with the love. Best fantasy advice on YouTube or anywhere else, in my opinion. You guys are the best.
Appreciate
Thank you for those
Jersey
kind
J.
words. We got the best fans in the entire world over here. Whisper Nation. It is incredible. The best community. There's nothing we can't do any of this. We wouldn't do any of this without you. We've tried to in the past, and it's just not nearly as fun. Hear that, Jersey J. Arizona, great D for the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, rock out. Chicago and Green Bay defense is available. If you had to start one,
I would probably go Green Bay defense. I do like what you guys said about the Green Bay defense.
And here's that question from Andre. Who should I start this week, Ayuk or Visca?
I'm going Ayuk. I would go Ayuk this week.
I know Travis is not starting Ayuk.
Actually, I don't. Wait. If Slay is on Ayuk, though, I don't like Visca. I would go in a completely different direction than both these guys. I'm not starting Visca.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville's got a really good path to volume through the passing game, so you might just get paid off. Plus, they can get unique with Visca. They can't really do that with the other guys against the secondary. They can use him more as a running back and as a gadget. Not saying Ayuk can't be used that way. He definitely can be, but I just don't trust Shanahan with Ayuk right now. I don't want to be caught with my pants down.
I would really try to look somewhere else than those two options if you can. I don't know what the volume is going to be for Visca. I could see him getting, 6-7 targets in this game, and then let's see what he does with them. But I think you have a better option, most likely on your bench.
Yeah, these are pretty volatile options as is. You might have somebody who's more consistent with as high a ceiling, maybe on your roster or in the waiver.
Well, it looks like he has Devonta Smith. He said Michael Thomas on reserve, Kenny Golladay already played, and D. Smith. Hopefully, if it's Devonta, you get him in the lineup. Absolutely.
It's a new question here. Eric Saldana asked, I got offered Derrick Henry and Justin Jefferson for Darren Waller and Keenan Allen. I feel like Waller is too valuable at his position. I have Dalvin Cook and Mike Davis at running back. I have Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper at wide receiver with Antonio Brown at flex. See Johnny nodding no.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either. Well, I mean, Waller has the opportunity to be the first end ever with 200 targets. If we see that, you can't be trading that away this year in my mind.
I don't think he's going to get anywhere close to 200, but he could. He maybe could if they give him 20 a game.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't think they'll give him 20.
For like 300 right now. But yeah,
in that full point PPR, y'all know I love me some Derrick Henry. I'm not phased at all. I think he could still have the best season of his career, but in a full point PPR. That Darren Waller and Keenan Allen volume is turned up to 11 all season long, right? It's just too good.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Thomas on reserve with Kenny Golladay and Deontay Smith on my bench.
Yeah, I think you're set and wide receivers. You don't really need any more. Or trade. You don't need to trade out. I think you're set with those.
It's a great spot though. Either way.
I misspoke earlier on Eric's bench is not Andre Silva's bench, but Andre just came in and told us that he has Jamal Williams for that Visca Ayuk question. So I would go with Jamal Williams. Yeah.
Yep. I would go with Jamal.
Nice. Chris wants to know, do I start K? I need more than that, man.
Yeah, do you start a kicker or
if you have a roster open?
I don't know.
Who's K? Who's K?
I don't know.
Are we supposed to know?
Okay.
I don't know.
Kamara?
Maybe.
Yeah, you start Kamara.
Chris, let us know who K is. We'd love to help you out on this one. Chris asks, do I start Cole Kmet, Mike Gesicki, Gerald Everett, or O'Shaughnessy at tight end this week? Johnny, you going with your boy, one you picked up in our League of Record just yesterday?
It wasn't League of Record, it was Dynasty. I do think O'Shaughnessy is a interesting play, but I would go with Gesicki this week. I know he didn't do anything last week, but I do think with the matchup this week, I like me some Gesicki, but O'Shaughnessy is a nice sneaky play. So there's some sneaky upside there, but I like to go with the probability, and I do think Gesicki has the higher upside for me this weekend.
All right. Jersey J, drop my thumbs up. See you on Sunday. Have a great evening, Jay. It was great to have
Appreciate
you
you.
here. Great questions. We'll look forward to seeing you on Sunday, and much appreciate that thumbs up. If you like what you're hearing, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And if you continue to like what you're hearing, consider hitting that subscribe button on your way out. Chris said he's sorry he made a typo, and it is coming up.
We
While he's
answered
doing
it.
that,
Yeah, it was
Eric,
the Cole Kmet question.
Oh, it was. That's what it was? Do I start Kmet?
Yeah.
Okay. And Renault? You're not
Sorry,
starting
what
Cole
was
Kmet,
the
are you?
question?
Well, no,
I start
Johnny
Kmet?
already answered. It was the
Oh,
Gesicki.
okay. Cool.
Yeah, it was.
Nice,
he
nice,
answered
nice.
with Gesicki. It was that.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
looping them back in.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why we have a team. Eric Saldana asks or says, thank you. Do you guys have any running backs you guys recommend to trade for? Meaning acquire my running back 2 spot, because I have Mike Davis and I am uncertain about him with Cordero Patterson. I want to just jump in here really quick and echo some of Johnny's advice that he's been preaching for the last few weeks. That's really resonated in my heart. And that is, we're not going to try to find comparable guys. I mean, we could talk about that, of wide receiver to appropriate running back value, but that's not really going to help you from a trade acquisition point of view. What you should do and what would benefit you the most is to identify what your need is. Look on your fellow league mates' rosters, find who has what you're looking for and who's in need of something you're willing to offer up in a trade. This can give you inflated value. It can also actually just help to make a trade go down. Like, you can go all the time like, hey, I'll trade you this guy for that guy. It's a good trade. And they're like, yeah, it's a good trade, but I like my guy. Piss off. So try to find somebody who's in need and where you have something to offer that they would be interested in. Bench K for W. Always take the W where you can get it, man.
Bench the K. Hey, I did that last week. In a league.
This is the last question that we have on the docket. If you have any other ones, let us know. We'll do our best to get to them. But if you have more questions, and I'm sure you will before the start of Sunday's games, make sure you join the live lineup show Sunday morning, 90 minutes before kickoff. That's 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, where Johnny and Travis are going to go over all of your lineup questions with the most up-to-date information at the time. So hit that bell when you're liking and subscribing so that you can get those notifications coming your way. We get people all the time. They're like, dang it, I missed it. I forgot. Go ahead and just hit that bell. It'll give you an extra little reminder. But to Chris's question here, Travis, Henderson or Mike Davis at RB2 this weekend, half point PPR? I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, Darrell Henderson. I think you want the offense more than you want the Atlanta offense right now. You want the matchup more than you want Mike Davis against Tampa Bay, and you want the fact that Henderson has done nothing to prove that he's not going to be the back to lead them out there this week. So if you have Henderson, and Johnny's right about Sony Michel taking over by year end, you're going to get a limited amount of games to start Henderson. This is one of those games to go start him.
Mm-hmm.
Love that one. Rock asks, pickup kicker Brandon McManus, Ryan Suckup over the Colts versus Blankenship.
That's a sex machine right there. I don't know. I don't know if Travis is going to want you to drop him.
I would take Suckup. I think having the guy on Tampa Bay is the one you want. So
It's pretty nice.
More points.
Eric says, thanks.
The one thing I will say is you don't always just want, like, the problem with Suckup is that Tom Brady scores too often. You don't want a team that is actually really good at scoring. You want a team that's good at moving the ball and stalls in the end zone, which is why I do think that actually McManus is a good pickup, because you could see Teddy B struggling in the red zone to try to get a touchdown. But also that's why I think I honestly would keep Blankenship, because I do think that the Colts will struggle even more so in the red zone than they did last year. But I don't think they're going to have a problem moving the ball with Jonathan Taylor and Wentz between the 20s. So I do think that there are probably better days ahead with Blankenship. But
then to your point, they might have a little bit of trouble actually getting in the end zone with Carson Wentz as the quarterback.
Right. That's what you want to aim for. You don't necessarily, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to go with an offense that scores a lot, and like, I'll just get my kicker that way. In general, yeah, but you also don't want a team that, like, if Tom Brady's in the red zone, 95% of the time he's going to score a touchdown. Whereas like Carson Wentz, when he's in the red zone, not going to score.
Hyperbolic
Right.
percentage, but yeah, I can get behind it a little bit, except for the Tampa Bay continues to open as like the number one team in point total each and every week. And even if they are going for records, they're going to continue to score points, which means I want that on my roster. We're not sitting here shaking our head at Harrison Butker because he plays for the Chiefs and they score a lot of points. We like Harrison
I
Butker
do.
as our kicker. Okay, well,
you understand the point. Everyone
maybe,
if you got 4 trips into the red zone, you score 4 touchdowns. That's 4 extra points. If you miss on all of those, it's 12 points via the field goals. You'd love to see a team that is getting in scoring position as much as they possibly can, but leaving more on the bone for the kicker than for the quarterback, wide receiver, running backs.
I get it. I just want to trust in the offense in Tampa Bay for sure. Yeah.
When in doubt,
I guess it's your personal opinion on kickers for sure.
Okay. So
Wentz I don't know that this offense is going to be good enough to want to invest in Blankenship versus the difference that you're going to get in Suckup. McManus, I could get the point. Like Teddy Bridgewater looked good. They play in Denver. He kicks outside. They kick at elevation. Sure. Blankenship, maybe not so much for me.
So last year, kickers right here. Jason,
kickers are people too. We're going to debate kickers.
But listen, this is why it's important. Jason Sanders, number 1 kicker last year for Miami, struggled in the red zone, couldn't move the ball. Younghoe Koo for Atlanta, again, great at moving the ball, struggled in the red zone. Daniel Carlson, number 3 kicker last year, great offense on between the 20s, struggles in the red zone. Tyler Bass was the first guy for Buffalo who ranks 4th as a kicker that came in, and Greg Leleg for it went Roberto Blankenship at 5, Greg Leleg Zerline, Ryan Suckup came in at 7, Justin Tucker at 8, Butker at 9. Those were the top 9 right there. So I'm like, out of those, like the only 2 offenses that were like barn burners are Tampa Bay and Buffalo. All the rest of them are.
Top 10 kickers come from great offenses. Top 5 kickers come from good offenses.
Yeah, and then it's like then you have to put the onus on you to try and predict these offenses while trying to work through your streaming capabilities. And I don't know if I want to absorb some of that risk when I'm trying to stream other positions, maybe like defense or quarterback.
I love this philosophical mathematical analysis going on at the kicker position. I think it's an underrated subject, and I think we might have some content considerations for next year's show, you guys.
The alliteration you're using right now.
Where should you draft your kicker in fantasy football?
You like that one, Travis? That one's for you.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Andre Silva, who has more value, Miles Sanders or
This is a great question. This is a great question.
Value, CEH, viability, Miles Sanders.
This is like a question that would flip the industry on its head. And after week 1, it's like one of those like knee-jerk reaction questions where it's like Sanders looked really good. Maybe we were all wrong on him. CEH looked really bad. Maybe we were all wrong on him. I know Johnny's going to come in. I know Johnny.
So you had a mouse in your pocket over there?
No, I know, Johnny. You're going to come in and you were right. You're always right. I get it. But the point is that I think that, it's interesting to see. I would say for Sanders, though, he does have Gainwell there. I don't see much else for CEH behind him on the roster. So
I have no faith in Jerick McKinnon, huh?
No, I don't, because Jerick McKinnon has never worked, Johnny. He's never worked. He has never worked. Like we try, we keep wanting it to happen. He's a great spark athlete, but it's never happened.
It did happen when he was in. Do you remember? You forget his games last year?
Those 2 snaps, it was fantastic.
Oh, he played more than 2 snaps last year. You had him in your starting lineup.
I know.
You know how good he is.
You also then guessed the wrong game, and he is an injury. I mean, waiting.
Here's the thing. So. Miles Sanders has the more actual value. CH has the better name value because people still believe in CH is going to be this mega boss, and he's not, because he's not going to get the workload that you want. They're not going to give him the trusted goal line because he can't get in. He struggles. He's not big enough.
CEH or Damian Harris, Johnny?
Damian will be better than CEH this year.
That's a hot take.
I have CEH.
Your argument against CEH is the lack of work that he's going to get and the fearfulness of him not getting the goal line. You don't have those same concerns with Damian Harris season long?
No, so Damian's going to get the goal line. He's going to get the majority of the work there. I'm not worried. Like, I understand we keep throwing out this is a 3-headed back over there. I'm telling you what the market shares are, and the market shares for Damian are going to be better than the market share you're going to get with CEH. That's just what it is. And the offense trusts in Damian Harris more than that offense trusts in CEH to make that play. That's all I'm saying. They have more skilled positions elsewhere than what, like, CEH is the third option for Kansas City, maybe. Damian is the number one for New England. Like, run the ball is their number one option. Kansas City, that's not their number one option.
That's why CEH was in on the field for 72% of the snaps. Damian Harris was in for 53% of the snaps.
Right. I don't care about the percent. It's about getting the ball. It's about it. Like, it's yes. Like, there's a part of it
will translate to more role in the offense. You're saying no. If Damian's in, though, he's going to be getting the rock. There's a play for him. Yes. That's really what we want to be prioritizing.
Yeah. And he's running behind one of the better offensive lines in football.
Percent of touches on an offense is what I'm banking in here. And I think that CH is likely to get more of a percent of his team's touches, and that offense projects to be better. So again, I think that's why CH continues to hold value where he does. This is a fantastic question, and it needs to be continued to be dissected over the next few weeks on what Miles Sanders and CEH will end up being here. We have another great question too underneath, and great in that I don't care how much WAB you spent on Eli Mitchell. You're not benching Zeke in a 55-point over-under against the Los Angeles Chargers this week.
It's just not happening. Young Kermit, fun name here. Last question that we have. Should I start Zeke or Elijah Mitchell? Same?
Yeah, that's the same one.
But it was a different user.
Yeah.
Wow. Same
Hey,
picture,
switched up users.
He had two names. He's got a burner. He wanted to make sure his question got answered. That's good.
Whisper Nation, if you have more questions, we are going to be answering those questions, just not on this show, but on Sunday morning's live lineup show, where Johnny and Travis are going to cover all of your lineup questions that you share in the YouTube chat questions or on whatever platform you're listening to or observing on. So be sure to join at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern time. Hit like and subscribe on your way out of this and that little bell so that on Sunday morning you get notified, as well as all the other amazing content coming out. Johnny, Travis, any closing words?
I do just gotta say this reminds me of when, like, with the name change, it's like at the end of Batman, at the end of the third one, you know, and when she's like, what's your name? And he's like, he like says his name, and then what's your first name? Oh, Robin. Oh, why don't you should go by that name, you know? And that's how I feel. It's like Sage. I like that name, Sage. I'm just saying.
Guys, great guy. I'm with you, man.
I had to bring up a Batman reference at least once in the show.
You miss all the shots that you don't take. You heard us say it earlier. It stands true today. Rock out on his way out. You guys are amazing. It's been great hanging out with you this afternoon. We'll see you on Sunday. We'll see you next week. I'm Austin Sear. That's Big Travie. That's Johnny Game Time Hicks. We are the Fantasy Whispers, and we are out. Peace.
Peace.
Right here.
Look at you go. You made it to the end of another one of our videos. Hey, if you still have some questions, I totally understand. Or you just want to join an awesome fantasy football community, head on over to our Discord chat. Link is in the description below. And if you're still not sold on us, check out one of these videos.